Excuse what a mess the studio is behind me. Like, that half of the wall still needs to be painted. Everything is sort of a mess. There's cables everywhere. It's a work in progress. Bear with me. The Positive Grid Spark amp, back when it was released around 2020, took the guitar world by storm because of its portability and tonal versatility. Connected to your phone via Bluetooth, build any tone you can imagine, or pick something pre-made from the tone cloud or the presets, listen to it through the built-in speakers or with headphones, jam along to your favorite music, yada yada yada. Not a bad product idea at all, but unfortunately it is based on Positive Grid software and therefore doesn't sound very good. Oh no, he said what we were all thinking. A tiny little amp based on the same sounds as Bias Effects 2 can't possibly sound very good when the plugin doesn't even sound any good through high-quality studio monitors. Oh well, the Spark still remained a solid and popular travel option, but I recently found myself wanting something similar for a little secondary studio space I've started renting, just something that sounds a little bit better. It still had to be a small, compact, and digital combo sort of situation, but since I would be using it very frequently, and perhaps even recording directly with it sometimes, my standards for the sound were quite high. So I sent an email to Moore. Now, if this isn't your first rodeo on either of my channels, then you might have seen me work with Moore before, and you'll know that I genuinely love the company for their innovative products and for how lovely their artist relations people are. And I'll put some emails on screen right now to prove that I was the one to approach them regarding their SD30i combo amp. Same core concept as the Spark, but based on the same sounds from the GTRS software inside these guitars, which is miles ahead of anything Positive Grid. And the response I got was, yeah, sure, we can do that, but we've actually been meaning to approach you about our SD10i, the smaller, more compact 10-watt version. So I told them, you know what, yeah, sure, send me both, the 30 watt for me to actually keep, and the 10 watt to be sent back after the video, because I really don't need it in my life if I have the other one. And here they are. So, full disclosure, full transparency, as usual, I am being paid for this video, but nobody can pay me enough to lie. This is a job, and I have bills to pay, so I do need to charge companies for content like this, but all opinions are my own. I never ever give up so much as 1% of the creative control, ever, and if you'd like to keep me independent from advertising bad products to you that I don't actually stand behind and think are great, then doing your gear shopping through my affiliate links in the description and in the pinned comment is always a huge help, and also it enters you into this series. So what do you say we head over to that other space I was talking about, and I'll show you what we're dealing with here. So, this here is a 30 watt, and here's the smaller 10 watt version. They both work in essentially the same way in that they can be controlled via your phone with an app, but the bigger one just has some more onboard controls like a 3-band EQ and effects and such. If you want that stuff on the 10 watt version, you do need to hook it up to your phone because it doesn't have any of those controls on board, being that, you know, the size doesn't allow for many knobs. So in my mind, the main benefit of the 30 watt version, besides bigger speakers and therefore more volume and better sound quality, is the fact that you're less dependent on having your phone hooked up to it. I know that you're just dying to hear how these sound though, so before I continue rambling, who's in the mood for some Lamb of God? Hi, quick note, I did just ask who was in the mood for Lamb of God because I was going to cover Hourglass by Lamb of God in its entirety to a click track and programmed drums and bass. However, that was the first time I actually tried using the USB-C direct recording feature, which usually shouldn't pose an issue at all, but in this case it did, and due to a latency issue that I tried figuring out for an hour, it's not user error, it is the device, I am unable to actually properly record a track to a click. If I just wanted to record some noodling and the tempo and sticking to a click didn't matter, that would still work. It does still record into a DAW, no problem. However, there is a minor latency issue that turns into a major latency issue as soon as you want to double track guitars for a, fully mixed and produced track. So that is not happening. Instead, I am going to give you a few sound samples, maybe with some room sound, maybe played straight into Reaper, I don't know. I just wanted to add this to the video because that is a feature that the device is offering that doesn't really work that well. It's not a deal breaker for me personally because for my personal use case, I probably realistically would have used the direct recording feature about twice in my life, and this would have been one of those times. But if you're sat there thinking, oh, I'll buy this to, record some demo tracks with or whatever, don't. That is not what this thing is good at, apparently. I didn't know that beforehand. I just found that out. I'm not a direct recording with an amp kind of guy, so that's why I didn't try this during my, trial time, but I knew I was going to before posting the video, so I just figured, okay, first time I'll try it will be during the demo track recording. Didn't go so well. Again, not a deal breaker to me personally. If it is to you, fully understandable. Yeah, full disclosure, that feature does not work particularly well if you're trying to stay on tempo and if you're trying to match up multiple tracks and all of that. Moore, get on it. I do know for a fact that Moore listen to criticism and fix issues if there are issues, so fix that, get on it. I'd say that sounded pretty sick. Also, as somebody who used Positive Grid software for years because I couldn't afford anything better, I'd say that sounded a lot better than the Spark, in spite of my lack of mixing abilities. Wouldn't you agree, Spencer Sotelo, vocalist of Periphery?
You're goddamn right it is.
So, let's get into prices. The SD30 goes for €289 on Thomann, so just barely less than its direct competitor, the Spark 2. Where Moore really has a leg up on the market though, is with the small one, the SD10. The directly comparable Spark Mini by Positive Grid still goes for €240, and the Moore SD10 is less than $140. Again, same features, better tones, same recording, looping, and playback qualities for $100 less. I think we've got a winner. And yes, I know I'm being paid for this video, but if you think I'd suddenly flip sides if it was Positive Grid giving me money instead, then you're delusional. If for some ungodly reason Positive Grid did want to give me money for a video, I'd take the money and say my conditions are still the same, they get zero creative control over the video, and I still get to say whatever the I want. Now, something that Moore could have done to really stand out from the competition as well is give this thing an actual handle. Yes, I know it comes with a strap and a peg on either side to attach it, but that is not a handle. They could have given it a handle like any regular amp head, you know? That is genuinely my only complaint about this thing though. Obviously not a deal breaker, it would have just made transportation extra easy, and obviously this thing in particular is meant to be transported. But now here comes the kicker. Remember how I told Moore I didn't want this 10-watt version and that I'd be sending it back after the video? Well, I think I'm sending the big one back. Before testing these, I never would have seen that coming in 100 years, but frankly, the small lad is plenty loud, especially for a 12 square meter space. It sounds pretty much just as good, and I don't see a reason to let it take up more desk space like this thing for pretty much zero benefit. So if you'd like even more proof that I'm not a biased paid shill, A, this channel isn't called Music as Win, and B, I am actively encouraging you to buy the smaller, cheaper unit instead, thereby giving this company less money, because this is better than the big version. If you do still want the big one, you do you, that's absolutely fine. Links to buy one, links to buy literally anything, including my favorite bass and drum plugins that I use for all of my mixed tracks, are in the description. Thank you for watching. More, if you're seeing this, they will be seeing this. Please send me a return label for the SD30, I don't want it anymore. Throw your Spark amp in the bin, and I'll see you around.